What's going on? How are you? This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast. Today is January the 7th, 2026. I'm GB. Brian and Coop with me as always. What's up, my guys?
Going on.
Hey, right.
Man, we back at it talking college football, some NFL head coach firings, as well as the NFL playoffs kicking into high gear this weekend. So let's start out with the college playoffs for college football. Coop, man, your boys, bruh. I mean, I was saying all they had to do is win a few games. They could have a home championship game at the crib out in Miami Gardens. Miami
Yeah.
playing Ole Miss, man. Miami versus Lane Kiffin's old team, etc. Man. Tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. PST. What you got in the Fiesta Bowl?
Well, first of all, I'm mad this at 4:30 on a Thursday. But look, clash of two styles. Mississippi's want to go fast. Miami's going to want to go slow. Um, look, the quarterback. It all depends on the quarterback. Ole Miss. He has a good game. I think they win. If they rat him a little bit, get some pressure on him, I think they lose, which I think Miami should be able to do. But the problem is Miami has lost to two teams like this. They're not as good as Miami overall, SMU and Louisville, but they're similarly built like Ole Miss, and that's an issue. And I don't know if you've seen that Lane Kiffin video that went viral when he found out how much Miami paid Carson Beck, the quarterback of Miami, paid him $4.3 million, and the
Yeah.
first thing out of his mouth was, did they see how he played against us? Because he didn't play well. Carson Beck, I'm not a big fan of, but I think Miami should win. I still think they should cover the 3.5 point spread. It wouldn't surprise me if this game was not close. If somebody told me this game was going to be a blowout, I would take Miami over Ole Miss than the other way around. So Miami should win. Brian, what you think about it?
This is simple. We talked a little bit about it last week. If the Ole Miss coaches are allowed to continue coaching, great, they can win. If they don't, which it looks like they're not, because it looks like they're going to bring in a new defensive coordinator as the head coach, and he's going to start using him of his staff. But if it's not the old Ole Miss coaches, they have no chance whatsoever of beating anybody. You cannot be in a semifinal college football playoff game and have all new coaches trying to coach old players. Does not work. Anyway, so for that reason and that reason only, yeah, I think Miami has a very good chance of winning this game. I would pick them because it looks like the Ole Miss coaches are going to be in LSU for their first recruiting trip, or sorry, recruiting weekend. So, anyways, I'm picking Miami.
Hmm, interesting. Come on, Miami. At this point, I want to see him go, man. Play at the crib. All right,
Oh,
so you got that, and then the other game, Oregon, number five Oregon versus number one Indiana, 4:30 p.m. PST on Friday, January 9th. B, what you think about that one?
This one's such a tough game. I mean, IU has they're undefeated. They've looked dominant in most of these games, and I really want to pick Oregon. I just don't think they have enough firepower to overtake IU. I really want to pick Oregon, but I'm picking IU.
Mm,
yeah, I'm with
cool.
you. I really want to take Oregon. Um, I'm not all into this Mendoza thing. He's an average college quarterback, but Indiana's roster is
Hey,
so
man, that's my
stacked.
quarterback, bro. Relax.
Remember, I watched him play at Cal last year against Miami. But yeah, he's the Indiana roster is stacked. And the problem I have and why I will not pick Oregon, though I want to, is because they had so much trouble running the ball against Indiana earlier this season when they played them. I told you besides a carry that went for, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 yards, they averaged 1.7 yards a carry. And if Oregon can't run, then they were not going to be able to win the game. I'm hoping they'll be able to run and make it a game, but at the end of the day, I think Oregon covers the spread, but I think Indiana ultimately wins the game. They just have the better overall team.
Mm, it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna see. I'm joking for anybody that doesn't know. Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland, Los Angeles now own the first pick in the NFL draft. Many people are saying it's going to be Mendoza after the Heisman win. We'll see. So, all right, let's keep it moving, man. So we're talking about the coach firings, man. I'm not calling it what they call it, man. I don't like this Black Monday thing. I don't know why everything bad got to be black, so we ain't doing all that. So we're
Hey,
gonna talk about these coach firings, man. Man, let's start with the big one, just in my opinion, because it's John Harbaugh, man, out at the Ravens after I want to say 18 seasons or something like that. Won a Super
mhm.
Bowl, has been there for many years. Ravens have been a formidable team and a formidable opponent in the league for many, many years, but his tenure there comes to an end. What do you guys think about the end of John Harbaugh in Baltimore?
You know,
Big.
we've talked about these types of things numerous times, and the one thing I say over and over again is all these people who are firing coaches because they have such huge problems with what's going on. You need to have some idea with where you're going to land and go. You've got to be realistic about this. When you get rid of a John Harbaugh who's had what, 3 losing seasons in 18, when you get rid of, people were talking about getting rid of Mike Tomlin who has not had a losing season, you would better have a damn good idea that you're going to be able to hire somebody that's going to be good and is going to be better than the person you're getting rid of. And not to pick on your team, but the idea that you can do what the Raiders are doing, which to pay 5 coaches, and every single time they pay another coach who isn't a known quantity. You know, they couldn't get the coach they really wanted, and then they hired Pete Carroll, and here they are again. They've had to settle each and every time unless you have some type of certainty that you're going to be able to find a coach who's going to come in and make a difference long term, can live live through their first contract. Unless you have that level of confidence, you need to stick with what you got. I know there's a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure on John Harbaugh. There's plenty of people who have a lot of things to say, and none of them are wrong. But until you tell me that you're going to be able to go out there and get a coach that's better than him, that's going to put you in as a perennial AFC championship contender, and maybe not Super Bowl contender, then I don't understand what you're doing with this. Because unless they, there's if you unless you have some type of certainty that you're going to be able to go get a Brian Flores, or God help them if they do, because I think it's a bad choice, but they really think that they can have a chance at Eric Bieniemy. Like, if you're trying to
Mm.
get one of those two dudes, and you think that one of those two dudes is going to be able to come in and be the difference between what John Harbaugh has been able to do over the last 5 years and what the team can do with this new coach, it wasn't a good choice. So that's what I think about the decision. I'm not sure. I don't see who's they're going to get that's going to be better. Um, but they've made that choice. They're down that path, and hopefully it works out for them.
Oop.
Yeah, I said last week there are going to be some changes in Baltimore. Baltimore and Green Bay are two organizations that consistently win and generally don't put out bad teams, but they don't operate like the Steelers. They actually fire coaches and GMs rather than continue to be stuck and show no progression year after year. And if I had to pick between Lamar and Harbaugh, I'm taking Lamar too. But the Ravens have more issues than just getting another coach, because this isn't a coach. The A new coach is not the sole solution for the Ravens finally making the Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson. There's other things that's wrong with that team as well, which I'll get into some other time. But I read today, true or not, I don't know if it's true or not, but they were talking about the offense coordinator and Lamar. They weren't seeing eye to eye on some things, and John Harbaugh refused to fire. These guys like Jim Harbaugh, he's loyal to his coaches. I guess John Harbaugh's the same way. He refused to get rid of the guy, even though he wasn't seeing eye to eye with Lamar Jackson. And so I guess ultimately they decided to get rid of him. And I guess it made it easier after they lost this game against the last game against Pittsburgh. So, but as far as John Harbaugh is concerned, he's going to have a job somewhere. Adam Schefter said 7 teams
Yeah, I
contacted his
saw that.
agent within 45 minutes of him being fired. And if I had to pick where he goes, I would say he'll be a New York Giant coach, be the New York Giants coach. If the Giants fire their GM, he will be the coach of that team. That's where I can see him going.
Mm.
Arizona.
Mm. Mm. I like it. I like it. Okay. Let's slide to the Titans coach was fired a while back. Let's go to the Atlanta
Man.
Falcons. Man, Raheem
Oh
Morris fired.
yeah. Yeah, I said this guy should be fired. Look, are telling me, hey, he tied for the division. They were 8-9. I'm like, 8-9 is nothing to be proud of. Him and the GM should have been fired. And you say why? Because he gave Kirk Cousins $100 million after a season-ending injury. That's why. And when Kirk Cousins played last season, he
Coach
was
didn't give
bad.
that though.
And then, he agreed to that. And then after that, they drafted Michael Penix, who was off of half the NFL team's draft boards due to injury concerns. And only bad teams had a first round grade on him. And I have nothing against Penix, but I don't see what his actual talent is. When you watch him play, it's not like there's a wow factor. What he brings to the table, you could have got that in the 5th round. And the Falcons drafted him 8th overall. He wasn't good when he played, and right now he's on his 3rd ACL injury because his
Yikes.
previous 2 were in college. And another fireable offense. This is why I would have fired him early in the season, because they decided to put Kirk Cousins on the bench while he's making $27.5 million. All these things I just mentioned are fireable
Wait, you
offenses.
said
So
to do that in the
this is the right
preseason.
thing. I said what?
You said you talked about doing that in the preseason, though, not
No, my
benching
preseason.
Cousins.
No, not benching him, but they benched him, is what I'm saying. They benched him while making $27.5 million. I thought he was going to start based on his salary because he makes
Yeah.
so much money. You
Yeah,
don't put somebody on the bench for
but
$27.5 million. You don't do that.
but all of the things that you were talking about were GM decisions. So I totally understand why the GM needed to go because he made very poor decisions that cost the team tons of money and put them in a
No,
situation where they couldn't win. This is
Raheem Morris wanted Penix. He wanted Penix.
no, hold up. Whether he wanted him or not, that's not the point. The point is that the payment for Kirk Cousins and the decision to do all those are all GM decisions. Raheem Morris had no stake in the front office. They talked a lot about that. So he doesn't get credit for Bijan Robinson, who's probably the best player in the NFL
He's
right
good.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but he also doesn't shouldn't get the blame collectively for for what happened with Penix and Cousins because those were just GM decisions. Either way, I agree with you on Raheem Morris. Independent of all of the things that I think were that should lay at the feet of the GM, Raheem Morris was not a good in-game coach. He did not prepare the team. He did not use to his advantage the players that he did have. And 8 and 9 is respectable, but they weren't trending in the right direction. And there was no reason to believe going back to the same litmus test that I was talking about using with John Harbaugh, there are better coaches than Raheem Morris that are going to be available, right?
Mm.
John Harbaugh's available. There's other people who might be available. It will not be hard to replace Raheem Morris. I
Mhm.
think it'll be much harder to replace, John Harbaugh. So for those reasons, the same reasons across the board, I agree with the firing of Raheem Morris, but not because of the GM stuff that's on the GM. It's because Raheem Morris is not an outstanding coach at this point in time.
Mm. Oh boy, cooking. Jeez. All right. So next up on the list, man, Las Vegas Raiders. Pete Carroll is gone, man. What you think, Coop?
I'll be quick on this. He should have been gone 2 months ago. This guy handpicked Geno Smith to be the quarterback. And I've said before the season started, I was like, I don't understand the Geno is good crowd. This man had one decent season out of 10. Personally, I just think the Raiders need a younger coach to grow with the team. And it was the right move for the Raiders to wave the white flag. And I don't know who they got in mind, but you need somebody that's going to, be with the team and the GM for a while because Pete's like 75 years old. So you knew he eventually was going to leave anyway. And yeah, Chip Kelly as well. So you want to bring somebody else in. Brian, what you think about it?
So I agree with everything you said, and I still don't think they should have fired him. The Las Vegas Raiders just can't have be paying five coaches. If there's they have made
Six soon.
that they no, it's five with the next one.
Yeah.
They got the four currently, but they've made that job radioactive. There's no great coach that is going to go in there and do it. So all you're doing is taking another shot at another coach who probably wouldn't get a job anywhere else, who'll go in there, get another 3-year deal or 4-year deal or 5-year deal, and be out in 2 seasons. This is not a defense of Pete Carroll because he was horrible, and his biggest problem had nothing to do with picking Geno Smith. It had everything to do with putting one son as QB coordinator and the other son as offensive line coach. And what were they horrible at? The passing game and the offensive line all season long. They made a huge, huge mistake by letting Pete Carroll put those two in at the beginning. They decided to correct it by getting rid of all of them. I just don't understand what the organization is doing. So this is not, again, not a defense of Pete Carroll, but who's going to touch that job that really that the greater fans like you, Glenn, and everybody else are going to be able to get excited about.
Yeah, we're gonna see. We gonna see. First pick, new coach. I mean, hey, that probably make it semi-attractive. So we'll see what happens. All right. So then you got the Arizona Cardinals. So you already mentioned you think Harbaugh goes there, but what do you think about Gannon getting fired?
This is another one of those situations where I don't think he's good, but I think the organization as a whole is such in a bad place that there's no reason to pay a different person to be there while they figure this out, right? You could put who's your favorite coach? You could put um, the Philly coach, sorry, not the Philly coach, the Kansas City coach in there. You could
Yeah,
put
Andy Reid.
any,
Yeah.
yeah, Andy Reid. You could put any coach that you think is the best coach, and he couldn't do anything with this roster, this team, this organization right now. So, what's the point of paying, you know, Jonathan Gannon all this money and having to go and find someone else who, unless you're going to give him a 5-year deal with an ability and a promise to not fire him for 3 of those years, it really doesn't matter who's the coach next year or the year after that. They've got organizational issues that they've got to solve. They've got a roster problem that they have to solve. They've got we paid way too much money for a quarterback who doesn't study problem that they need to solve. So, those problems to me seem like they're higher up. So, give or take. And again, not defending Jonathan Gannon, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense for an organization to do that and spend all of this money on what will inevitably be zero improvement.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, when I first started talking about coaches, I told you this was the guy I had in mind. I said he should be fired. When you can't get your side of the ball right, you got to go. He's a defensive coach, and the defense was bad. He didn't have to leave the Philadelphia Eagles. He chose to be with overrated Kyler Murray. People talk about Kyler as if he's accomplished something in the NFL, and all in reality, what he does is he just gets coaches and GMs fired. He got Cliff Kingsbury fired. He got GM Steve Kine fired. Now Gannon is fired, all fooling with Kyler Murray. And the current GM, Austin, whatever his last name is, he better get rid of Kyler before Kyler gets his ass fired too. So this is what happens when you go all in on Kyler. You're going to be out of a job. And but the thing about these coaches, though, I don't really worry about it, Brian, because coaches get second jobs, GMs don't. So I understand why GMs are getting rid of coaches. They got to
Hmm.
blame somebody because these GMs don't get second jobs like that, and coaches do. So
Yeah, Gannon will get
I'm with
another
you.
job.
Yeah, he'll get another job. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Coaches get second jobs. GMs don't. So I'm with you. I'm not sure the next coach that comes in improves all this mess, but like I said, he was defensive coach and the defense was bad. So you got to go.
Hmm.
The
There you
whole
go.
team is bad. There's not a
And
single
that
bright
too.
light on that team. That's the whole
And don't
point.
forget,
It's like
right, right, right.
this team is horrible from beginning to end. The organization is horrible from beginning to end. They have a nice stadium, I've heard. I haven't been to it, but
Yeah,
yay
I
them.
mean, as a staff, label, crew, all that.
Exactly.
The Marvin Harrison Jr. draft pick that ain't looking good either. I mean,
Do you,
people would take
do you
Malik
know any
Neighbors right now.
Arizona
Hurt.
Cardinal fans right now? Like
Nah,
they're
they
all
don't
ducking and
exist.
covering.
They don't exist. They don't exist.
Yeah, they're not coming out of the woodwork anytime soon.
I think we missed one more. GB. We got
Yeah, no,
Cleveland's coach.
we haven't got there yet. Yeah, so that was next. Kevin Stefanski out, two-time
Okay.
coach of the year, won a one of the
Really?
won a playoff game. Yeah, won a playoff game for the Browns after many, many, many years of
Against
them not
Pittsburgh.
right a
Against
while back,
Pittsburgh.
which is funny.
Yeah.
So he's out too. Browns coach is done. Man, what's your thoughts?
I'll let
Well,
Brian start this.
Andrew Barry managed to keep his job in this situation
Yeah.
is beyond me because, quite
Right.
honestly, in my opinion, he's more of the problem. Stefanski knew that this was going to be his last year. He knew the minute the organization forced them to draft Shadur Sanders and, basically said, okay, this is what we're going to do. He was in a situation that was untenable. He tried his best, as I said he would, to expose Shadur Sanders by, I said at the beginning of the season, yes, Shadur Sanders will get in at some point in time. Yes, they're going to put him in a situation that he cannot win because he's not good enough, but also because it's just going to be a tough rock. They put him exactly in that spot. He looked horrible, and Kevin Stefanski couldn't save his job by exposing him. This is I'm following a broken record, so I'm just going to be real quick here. Stefanski's not a horrible coach. He's not a good coach either, but there's only one or two or three decent coaching prospects, and those prospects are not going to Cleveland. There's nobody who wants to be part of this mess who's not
Yeah.
named Deion Sanders,
Right.
and that's out of the frying pan and into the fire, if you ask me. But nobody wants to be in Cleveland right now, and so you might as well have rode this out and figured out the roster before you figured out the other problems. Jason used to really like this roster, right? It was a couple of seasons ago. He was talking about how they
Yeah.
were one of the
Yeah.
more talented
Oh yeah.
rosters, and
Yeah.
the GM just managed to, keep on messing it up.
What else?
Now, of course, there's got to be a defensive coordinator who wants to go and coach Miles Garrett. So hopefully they're somewhat decent in get a good deal so that when they get fired in 2 years, they can enjoy the rest of that money.
Look, I get it's hard to build a winning culture when the Browns' two highest paid players, Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett, didn't even want to be there. They didn't want the Browns to pay him all that money, but they did, and now they're getting paid. So I don't put the Shador thing on Stefanski either, but I have a different view. I think he should be fired because he had his chance to draft his Brock Purdy, so to speak, and he chose Dylan Gabriel, who's 5'11" with a weak arm and not an NFL quarterback. And I said many times, Shador is a better prospect than Dylan Gabriel, and Shador is not a starting NFL quarterback. So with Stefanski being an offensive guy and the entire season is about defensive linemen getting sacks, if that's the best thing you can say about your team and you're an offensive guy, then your franchise is in bad shape. And I think personally he didn't want to be there anyway. I don't know
Of
why he
course not.
draft these off. I don't know why these offensive guys draft these quarterbacks that just are just okay. And uh, he drafted Dylan Gabriel. I've seen Kyle Shanahan draft C.J. Beathard. I've seen McVay draft Stinson Bennett. I don't see what these offensive guys see in these players. They weren't that good in college, and I guess they expect them to be good in pros. And of course, they weren't good in the pros. But that's another conversation for a different day. I just think that Dylan Gabriel thing just blew up in his face. And I don't think he's mad he's going to get fired because, like you, I believe he's going to get another job somewhere else and be happy.
Oh, Stefanski will be one of the first coordinators brought on to.
Yeah,
So some coordinator will get hired as a head coach somewhere, and Stefanski will be the top of the list. He'll get money
yeah.
from the Cleveland Browns, and he'll be able to get another job. Like, there's most of these guys will be able to get coordinator positions pretty quickly.
Are any of you surprised about any coaches that wasn't fired? Because I was surprised that Aaron Glenn didn't get fired because the Jets were worse this year than last year.
I
Where they
thought
were worse.
they scored points though, so I
And
was
they
wondering
showed
about that.
heart.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're horrible. They're a horrible team. But that team showed up for Aaron Glenn. And again, you can't coach through roster problems. And there's no talent on that team. And before everyone talks about how they wasted Juice Gardner's career. He is
sauce.
the Sauce
Sauce.
Yeah,
Gardner's, yeah. Sorry. He is he has been so bad on the other team he went to that he is the losingest player in all of the NFL this year. He's the only player that only had 2 wins in all of football, and that's between the Jets and when he got traded to the Colts. So
Uh,
there wasn't any talent at all on that roster. You can't coach through that. So I understand why they gave Aaron Glenn another year because there was nothing to work with. It's not like, Gardner left and then the Colts started blowing up and the Jets stayed the same. The Jets stayed the same and the Colts blew up.
Defensive coach, no interceptions, and this team gave up the
Yeah.
most. The margin of losses and points that they lost by in December is the most in NFL history. It's never happened before. Teams losing by that much in December every damn game is. But I mean, I'm with you. I mean, it's the Jets. I might as well give them another year, but they were worse than last year. I don't know if you guys know this. Washington fired both of their coordinators, Cliff Kingsbury and
I
Joe
saw
Witt.
that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that.
And then your boy Jerry Jones comes out with a press release talking about Matt Eberflus was released as if he's a player. He's a defense coordinator. He was the guy who coached the Bears last year. They just
Yeah.
released him after 1 year. That he just said he released him. I just thought that was funny. He's a coach. Got fired.
And it's
We can move on.
always interesting, man. Around this time, a bunch of people get fired, team shuffle. We'll see where cats go, man. So that's kind of the coaches who were fired. Let's go to the playoff games. NFL playoffs starting this weekend. We gonna run down the list. I'll give you the teams, the spreads. You guys, man, we're only talking about these games. We're not talking about last week. Season's done, so you got some time, man. Take your time with it. So the first game. Los Angeles Rams at Carolina Panthers. That's Saturday at 1:30 p.m. PST. Um, who you guys got for that game? Spread is Rams minus 10.5.
Yeah. I mean, this
B,
game
go ahead.
has,
I know you ain't taking Carolina. Just tell me if they're gonna
no,
cover or not.
yeah, no, this game is so they, when you have a 10.5 point spread in a playoff game, there's a problem, right?
Yeah.
And Panthers are here in the thank you for letting me be here bowl. Anyways, the Rams are gonna beat the brakes off of the Panthers. They're going to try and use this as an opportunity to get good. The Rams are better on both sides of the ball. The Rams have had a rough few weeks to end their season, and so this is their get right game. So I expect that you're going to see plenty of them. I expect that you're going to see, all of the a full throated effort for them to come away with a good feeling before next week's game. Rams more than 10 and a half. This could be 14 or 21.
And they're playing in
Yeah,
Carolina, and it's raining.
if there are two teams playing this weekend where I cannot see them winning, one of these teams is the Carolina Panthers. They're the only NFL team in the Super Bowl era to never win a game this season as a favorite and make the playoffs. All of their 8 wins this year were as an underdog, which is surprising. All the advanced stats, all the analytics, all the trends point to the Rams. But there's only one stat I'm going to give you, that quarterbacks with no playoff experience versus a quarterback with playoff experience, the last 60 games are 20 and 40. So it's not looking very good for Bryce Young in this game. Um, I don't know if anybody think about betting on this game, betting the total in this game, but the total in wild card games, when the total is 41 points or more in the last 56 games, those games have gone, 42 of those games have gone under the total. And the total in this game is 46 and a half. I think we both got the Rams here. Brian, I know you got the Rams covering the spread. I don't know if Devontae Adams is playing, and like Glenn
He
said, it's going to be
practiced.
raining.
He's
He
full
did?
practice.
Okay. It's supposed to be rain there. So since the Rams secondary isn't good and Stafford kind of struggles against bad teams, I got the Rams winning, but I got Carolina covering the spread.
Yeah, I'll take the Rams beating the spread and definitely the under on that, but like you said, especially because of the weather.
Okay. Saturday evening, 5 p.m. PST. Green Bay Packers at Chicago Bears. Packers are -1.5.
I'll be
This
quick
is
on
going
this
to be
one.
a great game. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be quick. The Bears, they've been in these games recently with Green Bay due to these wild second half comebacks, but overall, Green Bay has dominated. I just found out, maybe you guys already knew this, but I found out I know this is the oldest rivalry in football. They started playing in 1921, but they've only met twice in the playoffs, in 1941 and 2010, which is actually crazy to me. The Bears defense played 60 snaps last week against a physical, emotional game against Detroit, while Green Bay rested their players. So I'm taking Green Bay. And it was kind of concerning last week when we were watching these games how Caleb didn't do nothing for 3 quarters against an injured, depleted Lions secondary. I think that's kind of concerning. I'm going to take Green Bay on the road to get this win. Brian, what you think?
So here's something that I find interesting, and as somebody who's into the betting side of things, you might find this interesting too. Green Bay is the favorite by 1.5 points,
Mm-hmm.
but the money line for Chicago is even. It did not
Mm,
get a plus, which you
mm.
never ever see where you get a pick
Yeah.
'em and an even, but when you never see a spread and get, so that tells me that they know that that Green Bay is going to get a lot of money on it because that's why they do that, but they're not trying to give away money on the money line or give away points. So anyways, it's just a weird way because usually you want to make it so that you could bet the money line or bet the spread and kind of have something similar. If you wanted to bet for Chicago, you would absolutely want to bet with the spread and take the 1.5 points. And if you
Yeah.
wanted to bet for Green Bay, you would absolutely want to bet it on the money line because it's even, and not give up the points. But anyways, I agree with you. I think the Packers are a better team. I know the records don't suggest that, but I think that they've got more talent on both sides of the ball. I also think that the Chicago Bears, have done a great job of putting lipstick on the pig. They don't always, they look good when Caleb is in his moment. They don't look so good when he's not. And this is a new playoff game. Jason already gave the stat of people who play when they have no previous qualifications versus someone who does. Jordan Love hasn't been there a lot, but he's been there,
Yeah.
and I think that makes a difference.
Yep.
Explain the money line thing.
So the money line basically, well, Jason, correct me when I get it wrong, but when you bet on a team to just win or lose, no spread, and then
Yep.
you'll either, usually it'll say something like, plus, well, Carolina's plus 440. So that means if you bet $100, you would get $440 for that win.
Okay.
If for the Chicago Green Bay game, you bet $100, you would get $100, depending, no matter which team you bet for, even though they're making Green Bay on the spread give up an extra 1.5 points. It's a very weird thing for those two things
Hmm.
to be mismatched like that.
Until the flip side. The flip side, when you bet the favorite, like I guess the Rams probably they're minus 400 or something like that, 500
Yeah,
probably.
something like that.
Yeah, so the Rams are probably
Six
minus
hundred.
No,
500.
they're minus 600. Yeah,
Okay, so you would have to put up 600 to win 100, but all the Rams has to do is
$100.
win. Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's
Okay.
the money line. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So then Sunday, January 11th, 10 a.m. PST, Buffalo Bills at Jacksonville Jaguars. Bills are -1.5.
Who you got?
Well, I don't understand this spread at all, right? You have probably one of the strongest Jacksonville teams that have been around for a while, and they're at home, and they're giving up one and a half. They're giving up or getting 1.5 points. This is the easiest. I'm sure this. If I were a betting person, this would be a relatively easy bet. I get 1.5 points, and I get a better team, and they're playing at home. Yeah, Jacksonville.
Yeah, I know the Bills have Josh Allen and Cook, but you can't run the ball on Jacksonville. And also the Bills they're kind of built like they should be playing in the Big 12 conference in college football. And they probably be a better team if they were playing the dome. Josh Allen on the road in the playoffs, 0-4. He's never won on the road. 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. And in 13 playoff games, Josh Allen is 5-8 against the spread. And the Bills as an organization have lost 8 straight road games in the playoffs, along
Right.
with the fact they don't have a number one or a number two receiver, and they're 28th in the NFL defending the run, and they also play from behind too much. The money's already in. I'm taking Jacksonville in this game.
Mm.
Not Trevor Lawrence is on a heater recently. He has 19. He's on a 19 touchdown, one interception run, and he hasn't thrown those customary dumb passes he usually does a few of every game too. So he's kind of cleaned that up. I'm with Brian. I got the better team here, and this is actually interesting, Brian, because Buffalo is a 6 seed. I've never known so much pressure on a 6 seed ever in NFL playoffs. People are going to feel like it's a
Mm.
failure if Buffalo does not make it to the Super Bowl because Kansas City and Baltimore are
City and
not in the
Baltimore out.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't.
It's a good point.
I got Jacksonville. Jackson, my money's already in. I'm on Jacksonville.
It's a good point. That's tough. All right. So then, cool, man. 1:30 p.m. Sunday, January 11th. That's 1:30 p.m. PST. San Francisco 49ers at Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are -4.5.
Yeah, I said there's two teams that I can't see winning. The first is Carolina. The other is the 49ers. Okay, so look, they just got ran all over by Seattle, and I imagine Philly's going to do the same thing. Trent Williams, our best offensive lineman, Ricky Pearsall didn't play last week. They might not play in this game. McCaffrey, who I said earlier in the season, looks a little bit slower. And last week he looked like a guy that was worn out and that's had 400 touches this year due to overuse by Kyle Shanahan. And then I found out today that Tatum Bethune, who is the guy who replaced Fred Warner, is out for the entire playoffs. And now that's just the injuries. On top of this, Brock Purdy against top five defenses in advanced metrics is 0-4 and doesn't cover the spread by 12 points per game. On the flip side, you got Philly. Jalen Hurts at home in the playoffs is 5-0 straight up, 4-1 against the spread. And he covers the spread by an average of 3 touchdowns per game at home. That's 21 points.
Mm.
As a favorite in December, Jalen Hurts is 13-1. And the 49ers have nobody that can cover AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert when they're on the field at the same time. Um, I just don't. I think Philly wins by double digits. Since week 10, Philly's offense is in the bottom six of the NFL, which people want to tell me. But I also tell them the Eagles are also 10-0 when Jalen Hurts passes for less than 200 yards. So I don't think they have to be great offensively to beat the 49ers. I just think the injuries are finally going to catch up in this game. They kind of caught up against them against Seattle, even though because of Shanahan, they probably could have won that game. But I think it's really going to catch up in Philadelphia. I just can't see the 49ers win this game. I see Philly big.
Mm.
Brian?
Yeah, I hate this game. Like, I don't want to watch it because here's the thing, and of course I probably will if we can, but like, I don't like the Eagles. I don't like the Eagles fan. I don't think they have a good team this year. But they ran into a perfect storm because I think the 49ers have been on borrowed time. And I think most people agree with this. Of all the games that are being played this weekend in the NFL playoffs, the largest spread movement was one half of 1 point, right? 0.5, except for in this game where it moved 1.5 points this week. That's a huge amount of movement, and it all went towards the Eagles. It opened up at -3. It's now at -4.5. I think everyone recognizes that this is a battle that the 49ers are outmatched in a game that they're outmatched in a location they're outmatched in. And I just don't think this game is going to be particularly interesting. I think it's going to be ugly football that the Eagles are going to find some way to muddle their way through and win. That's, not very exciting.
This was the worst possible matchup for the 49ers. Philadelphia and the
Yep.
Rams were the two teams that the 49ers should not see in the playoffs to have a chance to go Super Bowl, and they're seeing Philly. So this is going to be bad. I know a lot of 49er fans trying to convince me, talking about the Eagles offense. I'm like, they're going to look good against us. They just are. That's what it is.
Oof, tough, man. Hey, we'll save a spot for you on the couch, bro. Um, LA Chargers at New England Patriots, 5 p.m. on Sunday. It's 5 p.m. PST. Patriots are -3.5 at home.
Me?
All right. This is the only upset I'm picking this weekend. I'm picking the Chargers to beat the Patriots, even though it's +3.5. They're getting 3.5 points. I have been fooled by the Patriots all season long. They've been winning and so on and so forth. I just don't think that they've built up a resume that stands up to the Chargers. And since my buddy here, Jason, already gave the stat, I will say it again, yet again. The Patriots have no experience in the playoffs, and the Chargers have experience in the playoffs. Not good experience. Matter of fact, I don't think they've
Right.
ever won in the playoffs. But they're gonna.
No, Herbert, no.
So, yeah. But this is one of those games where I think the Chargers have an opportunity to go in there and find a way to win. I don't think the Chargers are a great team. I just think the Patriots are a little bit inflated. And if you're going to give me 3.5 points, so that if the Chargers were to lose by 3, I would take those 3.5 points because it might go that way. But the Patriots, the Patriots are not as good as their record makes them look to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, New England is the team. I couldn't wait to get to the playoffs because the first game I was going to bet against them. Okay. I know the offensive line blocking grades for the Chargers, like pass blocking and run blocking and get off is all
He's
bad, but
about to take the Patriots, folks.
I'm still taking the Chargers, not because Jim Harbaugh won his previous two times in New England going against New England, but because I think the Chargers defense can neutralize New England's offense. Also, Justin Herbert as an underdog of more than 3 points. He's 13-6-1. This season, he's 4-0. Drake May at home against teams above 500. He is 1-3, including 0-1 this year with a loss to the Bills. So, and also the Chargers rested players last week, and they are the number one team in the NFL defending the deep ball pass. So that's going to be neutralized as well for New England. So I got the Chargers not only covering the spread, I got them winning. Yeah, I got them beating New England in New England.
May happen. Houston. All right. So the last game, man. You got the Monday night, actually, 5 p.m. PST. Houston Texans at Pittsburgh Steelers. Texans are -3. But before we get to that, give me your thoughts on the Steelers Ravens game, man, that take the Steelers to the playoffs.
Go ahead, B. Give me your thoughts first.
And this was a hard fought battle that ended with a poor kid dreams being dashed of sending his team to the playoffs. I mean, look, this was actually a really entertaining football game. It was probably the best football game that I've seen, maybe all year, but
Hmm.
certainly in the last few months. Both teams are throwing haymakers. Lamar Jackson looked like Lamar Jackson again. I mean, I don't know how many times I've read it or seen it said in the last couple of days. Where was this Lamar Jackson all season long? He was scrambling, he was running, he was making throws on the run, he was making plays. It was nice to see that he still has it somewhere in him. But anyways, and I told everybody last week I was really conflicted on this game because I wanted to see Aaron Rodgers lose, the Steelers win because of Mike Tomlin, and Baltimore to win because of Lamar Jackson. They couldn't have it all. But anyways, it ended. I don't know if you all have seen this, but there was a tweet by a fan or something like that who was right after the kicker got drafted and said, "Please don't make this poor rookie kicker be the reason that we have to
Mm.
kick one to
Mm.
win the game against Pittsburgh and send us to the playoffs." And it went that way. Obviously, the kick missed. And John Harbaugh did a very nice thing as a coach, which was kind of put his arm around him and bring him into the locker room and try and make him feel better. But God, that's got to be crushing. It was a great game though, Jason.
Yeah. Man,
Yeah, Pittsburgh is the best team at defending Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson kind of went off on this game. They usually lock him up pretty good. Look, Pittsburgh is one of the lucky. This is one of the luckiest wins I've ever seen in my life. Their defense blew multiple coverages. Jalen Ramsey got burnt as usual, more than a couple times, especially on catches by Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely. Remember, he's a safety
Host.
now and not a corner. Uh, Pittsburgh's field goal kicker missed one. They had an easy sack on Lamar that they didn't get. Their situational football wasn't good. They have no firepower on offense. DK Metcalf didn't play, and Aaron Rodgers still made things happen. In my opinion, this was the best game that Aaron Rodgers had played all season. Without him, Pittsburgh wouldn't have had a chance. Pittsburgh's defense was about, with a defensive head coach, was about to blow another game, but the field goal kicker pulled a Jake Moody, who missed a 24-yard field goal for Washington earlier that day. He missed that short field goal and ended up getting Jim Harbaugh fired right after the game.
John.
But
Yeah,
John Harbaugh, yeah, that game was boring as hell in the first half. It was 10-3, but business picked up in the second half, man. I think they scored 30, maybe almost close to 40 points, something in that second half, and it was wild. I thought Baltimore won the game. I pretty much thought it was done. But
crazy.
hey, crazy win. Yeah,
Give me
it
so
happened.
Steelers make it in. They now play the Texans, but they
Yeah,
got they're in Pittsburgh. What do you think
Pittsburgh.
about that?
Yeah, well, Houston can beat any NFL team at home, but I don't trust dome teams in the playoffs going on the road in cold weather. I've just seen it too many times. I've seen Drew Brees and a high-powered Saints offense lose to Rex Grossman and the Bears. I've seen Detroit lose to an average Philly team in Philly. I mean, I've
You just
seen it.
picked the Chargers to do it.
A dome team? They're not a dome team. Oh, they are a dome team. You're right. Oh, okay, but they're still better than New England. But
I mess with you, bro.
this game is that Mike Tomlin's spot. He's a small underdog at home. It hasn't been profitable recently, but what trumps this is what I said a few weeks ago when Pittsburgh played Miami on Monday night. The Steelers do not lose at home on Monday night. They're 23-1. Say whatever you want about CJ Stroud or feel however you want about him. He's 0-2 on the road in the playoffs, 0-2 against the spread. Both games, he quarterbacked the teams to 24 combined points on the road, and his team scored less than 14 points each game. And on top of that, teams on 9-game winning streaks going into the playoffs as a favorite are 5-14. And on top of that, Houston is one of the worst red zone teams in the NFL when CJ Stroud is the quarterback. They set up for way too many field goals. That's going to hurt them in the playoffs. I got Pittsburgh winning this game. They just don't lose on Monday night.
Ah,
See,
I'm gonna go with the Texans. I
I
hear
like it.
everything Jason just said, and I totally understand that. I just think that the Texans are in a good spot right now, and I think Mike Tomlin and the team kind of had their Super Bowl last week when they got an unexpected victory out of nowhere after playing way worse than Baltimore did. And so, I think they're playing with house money. I think that's the feel that I get when I think about them. And so, I'm going to take a hungry Texas team against what I think will be a little bit of a complacent Steelers team.
Hmm. Love it, man. Playoff football. It's always fun. College playoffs, NFL playoffs. It's that time. So we're sliding into our last couple segments, man. Let's start with the game ball. Coop, that was your segment. You give us your game ball for exemplary performance in sports.
Yeah, 3 seasons ago, I picked Detroit to win their division. I was a year early. They won it the following season. Last season, I picked Washington to make the playoffs. They did, but also picked the Bears to win their division. They didn't last season. I was a year early again. They won it this season. But I'm saying all of this because my game ball is going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're the team that I picked to win the AFC South this season, and they are my pick to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I just think people are sleeping on this team. They're a lot better than what people are nobody's talking about them. I guess they like it that way because they're used to
I
not
would.
being talked about. But
Yeah, that's great.
that team is a good team, and so my game ball goes to Jacksonville for not only covering the first half spread last week against Miami, what I had a bet on, but also winning the division. And I think they're going to beat Buffalo as well.
See?
My turn? Yeah. Matthew Stafford, he has had a rough month. And to come back in a game that they really want to win, I mean, he really has, and throw 4 touchdowns, dominate on the offensive side with only, 259 yards and 4 touchdowns, two to Parkinson, one to Kua. Nakua, it was a good performance at a time when they needed a good performance, and it was, in my opinion, the best individual performance of the week.
You know what, man? Game ball to Tiger Woods, bro. He turned 50.
Mm,
Birthday, whatever. But man, I before we got on the show, I watched 22 minutes of Tiger Woods' 50 best shots and didn't even have the
mm.
master shot on there. Bro's unreal. Almost makes me not want to play golf. I got to keep it real. Like he's that ridiculous. So why not? I was just watching him, man. Shout out to T Dub. Hogwash, B. What's a bunch of hogwash in sports? Because there's a lot of hogwash outside of it.
Yeah. My hogwash is Brooks Koepka. So we didn't talk about it before, but Brooks has withdrawn from the live thing, and now he's created all this controversy about whether or not he should have to wait to get back into the PGA golf tournaments. He should absolutely have to wait, by the way. But it just, it, this is somebody who, for the last, what, 5 years, has made it pretty clear that he doesn't really want to play golf. He just wanted to make money. Now he has given up the money because he now wants to play golf at a meaningful level again. I just don't understand why the world seems to think that we need to cater to his, you know, childish whims. But he definitely is. Him and his whole approach to his sport is hogwash.
There. Cool.
Mine is going to go to Cliff Kingsbury, the fired offense coordinator for the Washington football
Washington.
team. Yeah, he's running a scam like Josh McDaniels. Just pretend to be a good coach. He's doing it, man. He's now being paid by three teams. You could talk about how Jaden Daniels got hurt. Well, Kyler Murray got hurt playing for him as well, and his offense has always regressed after the first year. To me, he feels kind of Chip Kelly-ish to where his name is a lot bigger than his actual results. But this guy's been running the scam for years, man, getting paid, and now he's getting paid by three different teams. So he's my hogwash.
One
He's
of my,
young though. Chip Kelly
yeah,
got to that point, later in his
Yeah,
career.
yeah.
So
Well, Josh McDaniels is kind of young too. Yeah, he's running the scam too. Yep.
yeah. My fear is Kingsbury or Eberflus as head coach, um,
Oof.
for the open vacancy. But
Yeah.
mine, I'll keep it with my team, man. Paying five fired coaches, $50 million to not coach is wild. So y'all figure it out, please, because it's just getting tiring, man. I'm tired of only seeing the Raiders win or score points on John Madden football on the PlayStation. So last segment, man, minute to win it. Just thank you all for listening, man. There's a lot of craziness going on. And just yeah, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Cool.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say whenever you hear NFL coaches mutually departed or resigned, there's no such thing as that in NFL. It's called they got fired. Okay, the first time I heard this was when Jim Harbaugh and the 49ers mutually departed, and then years later, in an interview, Jim Harbaugh said he was fired by Jed York. Heard it
Yeah,
last,
we know.
I think last year or a year before with Bill Belichick, and this year with Cliff Kingsbury. They mutually departed. Nobody resigns as a coach in the NFL, and nobody mutually departs. They get fired. So I'm just making that, just clearing that up for everybody. Nobody does that. They got fired, and that's just what it is. Not a bad thing.
fire
They
me,
usually get other jobs.
please.
I know, right? They
Exactly.
usually get other jobs while getting paid by the team that fired them.
Yeah.
But
Like
yeah,
I said,
Brian, take
I've
it
said for
home.
years, best job in the world to get fired from as a coach.
Yep.
Um, Glenn, did you have something first?
No, no, no. I just was saying, yeah, no.
Okay.
I said, thanks for everybody for listening and take care of yourselves and each
Yeah.
other.
I
Hmm.
think anyone who has watched the news today will know exactly what I'm about to talk about. But in my hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota, a woman with three kids who was basically spectating protests of ICE being in Minneapolis was shot and killed. She was unarmed. She was not violent. She was shot and killed. And, you know, the way that the United States has hired these officers of the law is despicable. It's deplorable. It's disgusting. And now we all knew this was going to get to this point. We all knew that at some point in time someone was going to die. We all knew that, and we just kept cruising straight down this path.
Yep.
Minnesota's Minneapolis's mayor came out and told the world in an interview in a while at a press conference that ICE needed to get the f out of his city, that they didn't need him, that he was making they're making it worse, more dangerous. I wholeheartedly agree. um, it's sad because so many of these charged events are happening in Minneapolis, right? I mean, Philando Castillo, the riots, the Black Lives Matter riots kind of kicked off there first. The violence that ensued afterwards, and now this, it's a beautiful town. It's a cool place to go. It's not a place that should be the hotbed of these types of social activity. But anyways, my heart goes out to those three kids who lost their mother senselessly for no good reason. Um, th- there's there's got to be something that we can do collectively to control the chaos that is created by these ICE agents in these cities. And it's crazy that of all the topics that I could have talked about, when we literally kidnapped a leader of a country, this is what we got to talk about.
Nuts, man. Sports Counterpoints. It's January 7th, 2026. We'll catch y'all next time. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks for watching.